essentially what it is they download remote desktop from a link on Microsoft's website.
And you'll send me that link.
You can do it. Yeah, you can. I'll send you the instructions. It's got a link in it. It's the same for the Mac and the PC. Obviously, this is a PC. And essentially what they do is they log in with their ID. They click on a feed, which is
okay. So
desktop.
now just let's go. They click on with an ID.
Yeah. So basically, look.
Now let's be specific here. Do they use exactly the same ID as Blackboard?
No, exactly the same ID as the George Brown ID. This one. This is the George Brown ID. There's only one ID.
So just their student ID at georgebrown.ca.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the password they use?
It's their own. It's their own.
Their own typical password that they use on Blackboard.
Yeah, it's not Blackboard.
StudView or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's all the same, right?
It's all the same. Yeah, single sign-on. So it's the same password across.
The difference is their ID at georgebrown.ca, not their email address, but their ID at
Yes, their ID. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm recording this. I might just edit it and post this.
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
It might work well.
Yeah. So let me just share the. Let me send you the instructions as well now, so you can.
I think this might work that way, right? And then I can.
Yeah, I think this is better. We've had lots of success with this. So we didn't roll it out because we didn't have enough time to test it. We've been using it for quite a while. Let me just get the instructions for you. The good news is with this solution is that because it's a virtual desktop, like it's their own PC effectively that they can do and use how they want to, it means that the Mac users, when they're logged into the WVD, they can actually launch apps anywhere in Windows Virtual Desktop and run any of the 300 applications because it's PC and Apps Anywhere only supports PCs. So as a Mac user, you get access to everything through Windows Virtual Desktop.
So if they run this, then how do they get to Apps Anywhere? How does that work?
There's a shortcut on the desktop.
Oh, their own shortcut that they've already got for Apps Anywhere.
They're already on their desktop. Yeah, the Windows Virtual Desktop. Yeah. So here we go. Let's send you the instructions so you can see it. New.
So they enter with their.
And you can try it as well because you have access to it. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Or I could just run through this on a video myself and just explain it. That's what I could do with Camtasia or something.
Yeah. So I mean, Azure Labs is very limited. We only gave access to 4 applications there: Project, Access, Visio, and
yeah. Well, we haven't gone down the path of the Mac too far, anyways, because I just sent you the list, right?
So this gives you everything.
But that list of students, you don't need it anymore. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's right.
So I just got to give them the link.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. With Azure Labs, there was a bit of manual work because we couldn't afford to enroll the whole course or all the CRNs because we get billed straight away for all of those hours, tens of thousands of hours of cloud computing time. That's why we asked professors to kindly canvass their students to say, right, who's a Mac user? Give me your ID, and then we'll get you added. But of course, with Windows Virtual Desktop, we don't care. We add everyone.
So that was that's why you sent that email. You didn't know that last Friday. That's why you sent me that email.
Yeah, that's right. So we were testing it with Ted, and we didn't know how it would go with his students. He had an early week where he could test with them, he said. And that's what he did. And he said he's happy with it. It's working. So
he's using Microsoft Project.
Yeah, he uses Project. Yeah, it's a Center for Business. That's all they do. There's about 1,200 students in this course. All MSProject. Yeah, so they had the usual dilemma. So they had PC users having to request a VPN. So the professor had to send the CRN to help desk. They would send it to infrastructure. They would grant access to the VPN for all those students in that CRN. And then in Apps Anywhere, a student PC user would log into Apps Anywhere, start the VPN, launch project. Mac users can't do that because Apps Anywhere doesn't support Macs, and they had to use Azure Lab. So the messaging was really confusing. But I mean, that's what we had to do to get us up and running initially.
Yeah.
You know,
very confusing. I think a lot of.
Well, the problem really is project. It's not the delivery. It's because, well, first of all, there's not a Mac version of project. That's the biggest issue. Some reasons Microsoft don't do project access or Visio for the Mac, and I have no idea why. They do all the other Office 365 applications. They don't do those three. And because we chose not to, in Office 365, there is project, so you can run it through the browser, but it's an add-on license and it's really expensive. So we buy Office 365 for the core applications, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you know, those kind of things. And that costs the college about $700,000 a year. And we do that as all 24 colleges. We do that as a single deal through Microsoft. But what we don't do is all these add-ons like Microsoft Project, BI is another one, any of the add-ons. So if the college chose to do that, this wouldn't be an issue because everybody would just launch Project through Office 365 in the browser. But the college can't afford to do that. So it's like Adobe. So these were the solutions we came up with. And this is what it looks like. So when they follow the steps, this is the remote desktop application, and the only icon they see is this one here.
Oh, they only see is which one?
One, yeah.
GBC.
This one here, which is GBC Windows Virtual Desktop, and it's the CPU remote desktop.
Okay.
It's a generalized VM. So when I launch it, I just double click on it. Now I might have to change my view for you. Hang on, so you can see it. Let's have a look. So I'll just wait for it to launch. I'll share that.
That's gonna make a lot of sense. That's gonna be
it's a lot easier.
So is this a huge cost to the college or not too bad?
Well, there's two schools of thought on this. So if you look at Humber have done this for 40,000 students. they struggled with the same. All the colleges have struggled with the same issues. Project is one, access, Visio, and certain applications like Adobe that you're not allowed to offer outside of the college for various reasons. And so they all struggled to come up with a solution that's viable, a sort of virtual computing that would be viable. And all the colleges have access to Azure, which is part of their Office 365 agreement, and Windows Virtual Desktop. And so everybody was scrambling around to do this. So we've chosen to do it. Will we give a virtual desktop to every student? I'd like to think we would, and it would be provisioned when they start the college. And then they could literally buy a Chromebook. In fact, we could actually buy the students Chromebooks for a few $100. And they wouldn't need any other computing device. They can just,
because it's all in the cloud. Like they're
on the cloud.
So I've got a student that was worried about his space. So this is going to be good for him.
Oh, this is great. Yeah, because it actually connects to their OneDrive. So they've got 1 terabyte of storage. They can save to the desktop as well, but I wouldn't recommend it, but they can do. They can save to their virtual desktop here.
Okay.
Hang on, so I might start sharing again. Let's just start sharing again so you can see it. Here we are. So this is the desktop they will see. It might be very large on your screen, but this is it. Okay. So this is what they see. It's a real desktop.
Oh, okay.
And project is here. There you go. Now it's their own desktop, so they can arrange the icons as they wish, and they can put documents on the desktop if they want to. I wouldn't recommend they do, but they can. It does save their updates. So when they disconnect from this session here, they choose disconnect, they power off and then disconnect, which is this option. It actually keeps the session exactly as they left it. So when they come back in, it will be exactly as they left it. If they left project open, it will still be open. If they left
with whatever they've got in it.
Yeah.
So it's like a save.
Yeah, it's really just like them having access to their own PC, that they don't shut down, they kind of just pause.
Oh, cool.
And that's really it.
So can you click on project? Does it?
Yeah.
Just
yeah, I can launch it from, I think it's already running actually on my machine. There you go. It might just come up. It's always slow the first launch.
Yeah, it probably takes a while to load.
I can't really see it because it's trying to share it. Hang on. See if we can get it to share properly. I think I left it open for last. That's because I left it open from last night and we did some maintenance. Let me launch it again from the start menu. There we go.
And did you send me the link just now, or?
Yeah, it's in the link. Yeah, there you go. So it just takes a little while to start.
So I could even run this on my laptop where I have a project already loaded on the hard drive. I could run it if I wanted to, because it wouldn't interfere with it because it's in the cloud, right?
Exactly. But it can still see OneDrive. So if you save any documents there, you can just pull them into project. And of course, it's synced with your OneDrive. So any recent documents that you've browsed on your other computer, they will show up as recent documents on this computer. So it's really like having a second PC, really.
Okay, great.
That's it. And then you're in there. There you go. So and you're in. Now the only thing is it does maximize the screen, so you don't have an option to shrink it if you like. It's always full screen. We did that because we don't know what resolutions people are running their computers at. So we didn't want it to appear as a fixed little window. So it just starts in its full screen mode. But you can minimize it anytime you want to. You can pin it. You can do anything you want, really. Yeah, and when you go to File and Open, see in my OneDrive here. Here's my OneDrive account. It's already mapped it for me.
Okay.
So, yeah. So that's that, and then you can see your SharePoint sites and things like that.
I just want to make sure I can. I'm just going to try and open it. What you just sent on myself. If I'm able to,
I did add all employees already, so that's good. But I need to just add those CRNs for you.
So you sent me download the latest MSRD client.
So there's two different ways. So this is the preferred way of accessing it. You can actually access it through a browser without installing this.
So
but I wouldn't do that. I would have remote desktop open, because once you run remote desktop for the first time, project will actually appear as if it's a locally installed application.
Okay. Can I just share my screen?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Okay. So I'll share my screen, and so what would I do?
So you're going to do the Windows desktop one, but obviously a Mac user would download the last option there, but you need the Windows desktop client. So that's that. Yeah.
And somebody that's using a Chromebook, would they use Android?
Yeah, you can use anything. That's a great thing. You can even do it on your phone if you want.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The best thing is you can do it on an iPad.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
That's quite cool, isn't it?
So I could on my iPad download this if I wanted to have project on my iPad.
Yeah, and it's the full project. It's not the project. There is a project app in the App Store for iOS, but it's not
the full
full-blown client. Yeah. So you need the 64-bit client because you're on a 64-bit machine.
Are most students going to be on a 64-bit?
Well, they don't need to worry about that with a Mac. The Mac doesn't.
Well, I'm going to tell all the students, right? So I'm going to tell.
Yeah, sure. They should all be on. I'll be amazed if anybody's got a 32-bit machine now.
So it's really okay. So I just did that. Now looks like it's downloading it in the bottom left corner.
That's it. It's downloaded. You can install that.
So just click it, open. Just go through this. You accept. Next. Install. Just for me, I guess. Yeah. And then that will install that.
You can open that up.
I guess I got to wait for it to. Install. I guess it doesn't show it to you.
Well, we'll do.
Yeah, now it's installing it, creating. Okay, now finish. Yeah.
So you can if you share your whole screen, I'll be able to see it, I guess.
So if I go stop share, and now I go share again. Where would I go for you to see my?
I think there's a full desktop option there. Show all windows or something at the bottom there, bottom right.
It does say remote desktop. I don't know.
Yeah, but when you can do that for now if you like, and then you'll have to share the desktop when you get to it. So there you go. So you follow this. So subscribe with URL is step 2. So subscribe with URL. Yeah.
Subscribe with URL.
Click on that. Yeah, that's in the instructions, step 2. And then in there, you're gonna enter that step 3 is enter that web address there that I've got on the link. You can copy and paste if you want to.
But what email would I put?
It's not email. It says enter. You got to enter that link.
Which link?
In the instructions, step 3.
Oh, there's an instruction. Okay.
Yeah, I'll put it on your email if you want to open it up.
Okay,
You can go along, follow it.
There we go. Okay. So step 3. Okay, that one. All right.
There you go. Yeah, that's the one. So it's really
so I'll have to walk.
Yeah, you're subscribing to a feed, really. So whatever we put in that feed, you will see. So then click next, step 4.
Step 4.
Yeah, and it's going to subscribe you to that feed. So anything we put in there, we make available through Windows Virtual Desktop, you will now see. So
I just picked my name. They would see their name.
It will come up in a minute. You're going to be able to choose your account. It should be there, George.
It says it says Tom Stevenson with my employee number.
Oh, I don't see that. I'm not seeing that on your screen.
Yeah, I guess probably because you know how Zoom is.
Okay.
Do I pick me?
Yep.
Okay.
Use your password.
Oh, it didn't ask me for a password. Just
okay. Sometimes it doesn't. If you're already logged in, there you go. I see it. If you're already logged in, it won't ask you for your password. That's why I put enter password if required, step 5.
Okay.
Because if you're already logged into Office 365, it won't ask you for the password again.
Okay. And if it's just their normal password.
Yeah, and then you can launch it.
So I can go here.
Yeah. And if for some reason the student's not enrolled, they won't even get this far. But I did have one student that enrolled into a course late, so they weren't in that CRN. So I had to add them manually, but that's the only one I've come across. It should be launching in a second.
Okay, yeah.
Do you want to share that? Do you want to share that screen?
Yeah. Okay. I guess it doesn't show it. I'll share it again. You see now?
Yeah, it's just logging in. Okay. It's always a bit slow the first time it logs in. Now I'm just looking at you've got an FS Logics. That's slow for you. Oh, there you go. It's always slow the first time. What that's doing is creating your own user profile that it's going to save for you. That's the bit that records your session, if you like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it always looks as you've left it.
I've got double screens, so I noticed it made my other screen disappear while it's doing.
Yeah, it will go full screen. Yeah, you can minimize it, but then you'll have to sort of scroll around. It was a bit of a compromise, really. Wait for it to come up. It's actually licensing Windows for you now. It's quite slow for you though. Not sure why.
Yeah, a little bit, but I have like super fast internet, but yeah.
Unusual. Let's have a look. So I'm going to. Let's see if I can see your user. There you go.
Dark.
personalized settings. So there you go. So it's setting up, it's as if you've got a brand new PC and you've logged in for the first time. So it's setting up all your sort of personalized settings and stuff like that.
So I should tell them to be a little bit patient.
Yeah.
That wasn't bad though.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it's on the start menu. So just click on the Windows key and you can type project, or it's already installed.
Yeah, it's probably there listed right.
Yeah, there it is.
So let's go.
Look, all of the Office 365 suite is there. So if they want to use another computer with Office 365, they can do that alongside their existing computer. Like I say, it's like a separate computer for them.
Seeing an app was reset, there was a problem with the default Microsoft.
That's okay. It's changing your browser.
Personally, I think we should delete Edge and Explorer off these.
Yeah, well, we can't, because some applications insist on Edge though.
Yeah, I guess because like Chrome and that on Blackboard, Chrome is good, but Explorer is lousy on Blackboard.
I know. Edge is actually probably the best browser now.
Is it?
But because everybody's sort of, already started using Chrome and did so a few years ago, it's difficult to persuade people to move back onto Edge.
So are you telling me Edge would work in Blackboard okay?
Yeah, Edge is actually much more integrated into Windows 10. So it's more aware of what's happening on the computer than the Chrome is totally disconnected. Oh. So it's not really a browser anymore, Edge. It's more like a Windows Explorer. And there you go. That's essentially. And it should perform exactly. The way it works behind the scenes is there's two virtual machines that are already running. It supports up to, when it hits a CPU usage of about 55%, behind the scenes is quite complicated. It spins up another VM. So we could have up to 15 virtual machines running, supporting 1,000 students. And then what happens at 10 o'clock at night? It says, right, okay, to save the college some money, who's still on the system? There's only 15 people on. I'm actually going to move people off these other virtual machines and put them on one virtual machine and shut all the others down until the morning.
Oh, I see.
And that's the way it works. It's all dynamic. It's based on how they're performing. So all we need from you and the class is feedback. So if they feel it could be a bit faster, or sometimes it's a bit sluggish, we just need to know, because we don't really know how this performs. We think it will perform faster and better than Azure Labs, which was the other alternative, that I mentioned before.
Well, you're look at that. See how quick I'm typing and it's right there. Remember
it should be good.
I like a new laptop. I type and I count to 5 and then it appears. And that's on the hard drive.
Oh, right.
Well, that's not really. I guess it's through Apps Anywhere. So, yeah.
Yeah. So this is used. I can tell you how many people are actually on it right now. So you can have a look. So let's have a look here. So this is really going to be the future of how we support Macs, we think.
Well, but you're telling me I can do this with all of them, right? Not just the Macs.
Yeah. So I mean, the way I've suggested we do it to classes is to say, it's primarily there for Mac users, but as a PC user, if you wish to run project like this rather than through Apps Anywhere with a VPN, you're more than welcome, because you all have your own desktop.
Right.
It really depends on what they're used to. Some students that are so used to Apps Anywhere,
they prefer it. Some of them have already done my little first assignment. Overnight, there was another, like I said, 12 or 13 that had success with it from that one group. So they might be quite happy with where they're at, and that's fine. But there's others that are really struggling. So maybe this is easy. Yeah,
I think so. I think this is probably the best way to do it then. So I'm looking at the charts now. There's how many people we got? There's currently just two VMs running, because there's not many people on it currently.
But this is not something you're going to come to me in a week or two and say there's too many.
No, this is running. We've had it running for about probably about 8 months.
Well, I guess this is running through Microsoft, right? Like they're.
Yeah, so it's using them. Like as Amazon Web Services or AWS.
They're not going to run out.
No, we're using Azure. No, it will never go offline.
They just keep adding to it. I know how. Yeah.
Well, it's dynamic, so it doesn't. There's no limit. The way we've configured it is every time each host hits about 55% CPU usage, which we think is about 10 people on one, maybe about 10-ish. It will spin up another one. In fact, it starts to spin one up before it gets to 55%. So when the 11th person goes to log in, it's already said the 11th person is going to go onto the second VM, and just keeps doing that. Of course, the more VMs we have running, the more we pay. This is not a fixed cost, and this is where the college is struggling with the move to everything becoming operational expenses. Everything is a subscription. Nobody buys stuff, perpetual licenses anymore. So that's the new norm.
That's the way the world has gone.
Yeah, and of course we're a captive market because we're all stuck at home. So this is the only way people get access to a lot of resources.
It does sound better than Azure Labs, so from what I've been...
I think it's going to cost about 100,000 or so to run a year once we get it fully rolled out, which compared to the old way of computing with, thin client machines and, huge VMs, which are several $1 million a year, this is a much more cost-efficient way of doing it.
Yeah, and you know what? It's just we all leave our stuff running and that sort of thing. It's not like students are, purposely abusing things. I do that myself all the time, right? So
Azure Labs, we made a bit of a mistake with Azure Labs. We didn't. There was one option that wasn't available to us in the interface, and we could have done it through a command line, but we didn't know what the commands were at the time, which was to shut down, disconnect the user after a certain period of inactivity, which we couldn't set at the time. And the problem is, if you don't set it at the time, once students start to use Azure Labs, we can't update it post there because it will delete all their work. So we're kind of stuck with it for the whole semester. And that's when we started noticing that people were not disconnecting, they were staying online, something was keeping the session open.
Yeah.
And of course, the things were racking up. But with this, it's much more cost effective.
It's funny, it says 3:35.
Yeah, now it's using the wrong time zone at the moment. So that will be updated tonight.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's actually using, what time zone is it using? Oh, I don't know, I think it must be using GMT. Yeah, it's using GMT, isn't it? Yeah, it's using UK time.
Britain.
Yeah. I'm not sure why it shows it. It must be full.
Okay. All
right.
Well,
that's it.
This is fabulous. This, I think, is going to be much better. Like I
think it's a lot easier. Like I say, they can just minimize it. They can minimize that session, and to disconnect, they just hit the start button and then the power button. Yeah,
so I go start
and then power, and then
what does that what am I disconnecting now?
You're just disconnecting from the machine.
So if I click power,
power, you get a disconnect option, right?
So it just says power. So okay, I'll disconnect. Okay, I see.
That's what you can do.
Disconnect. Now that's gone. Now if to get back in,
just double click on that icon again, and you're.
Oh, I see the icon. Okay, now is that going to be pinned to their desk, or?
They can pin the remote desktop application to their
or
desk.
If it's not there, they just search remote desktop?
Yeah, well, it's already installed, right? It's an application, so it's already installed in their start menu, so they just launch it again.
If they can't find it, they'll be in you go start, and it'll be either under the apps, or you could type in remote desktop. I see it right there.
Yeah, and it will stay logged in unless they log it out. So the application will always stay logged in.
Okay.
And that's really.
And worst comes to worst, if they have to log in, it's just going to be their student ID and their password.
Yeah. Now the other thing that they have to be careful of is they don't in remote desktop. There's a few options like this one. So when they're in here, so they're only seeing this icon here, right?
Yeah.
This one here, by the way, is a different type of VM that we're going to offer to students later when we've got it working properly. It has a really powerful graphics card in it. So it's more like a graphics workstation type VM. So if you're using AutoCAD or Maya for some rendering or something like that, something for the School of Design, maybe architecture, they can use this VM, which is much more expensive to run, but it can do all those heavy workloads. This one can't. It's a general office thing, you know, just running Office applications.
So in the future, probably if
they'll have both. What we'll do is just we'll look at where the student is enrolled into which program, and we'll give them either this one or this one.
Yeah,
won't give them both. You
might find in the future that the construction will need this GP.
Exactly, that's the idea. Because and that means that we don't need to supply students with really expensive. We don't expect students to buy $3,000 laptops, you know, Alienware and God knows what else. Yeah. We can just get them to use a Chromebook in this. That's the idea.
Okay.
So yeah, you have to just watch out that nobody over here choose to unsubscribe. If they unsubscribe, they'll have to go through that process again that I emailed you.
The steps.
Yeah. So I don't think they would, but.
And then if worse comes to worse, because I think now you're going to have fewer. If worse comes to worse, they could always contact the help desk, I guess.
No, well, you can. I mean, I would just come straight through to me or Benton. The help desk don't really have access to any of this yet.
Okay. So I better. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they will have. We haven't seen any issues so far. It's a lot easier for them to understand because there's no. They don't have to worry about VPNs or anything like that. There's no mixed messaging.
Okay.
You know, yeah, so it should be okay. But yeah, they can come straight through to me. That's
okay,
fine.
Great.
All right.
That sounds great.
So I mean, like I said, the other option is that labs